Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel, Island Daily. My name is Dr. Eamon, and I'm an optometrist. And today we're going to learn everything about lacrimal apparatus. So, without wasting any more time, let's get started. Now, the lacrimal apparatus consists of lacrimal gland first, right? So, as I mentioned in my previous video, that the lacrimal gland is only responsible for the reflex tearing and it is not responsible to maintain the aqueous layer of the tear film as the accessory glands of Krause and Wolfram present in the conjunctival fornix maintain the aqueous layer of the tear film. Now, the lacrimal gland is present on the lateral side of the orbit in the lacrimal fossa and it is divided into two parts due to the LPS muscle. So it is divided into the larger orbital part and the smaller palpebral part, and they communicate with each other at the lateral end. Now, there are 12 ducts which open from the orbital part into the palpebral part, and then these ducts open into the lateral superior conjunctival fornix. The lacrimal gland is a tubulo-acinar structure. Now, what does this mean? This right here is the duct. These are the ductules, and these are actually the acinis. So, if we take a cross section from right here, what we will get? In these acinis, we have acinar cells, triangular acinar cells, with a central lumen, and these acinar cells are actually the secretory cells which are responsible for the aqueous production. In the apical region of these acinar cells, we have secretory cells, which are responsible for the aqueous production. Now, there are some researchers that claim that not only there is aqueous production, but also there is mucus production. Each secretory cell is different from the other. Now, there are two theories on this. Some claim that these differential changes are basically different levels of cell maturation, and some claim that there are actually different types of secretory cells present in the lacrimal gland, in these actually acinar cells. Now, this acinar is covered with myoepithelium. This is nucleus of myoepithelium, and there is this outer covering of basal cell. This is the diagram of an incomplete lacrimal apparatus. Here we have our orbital part, the palpebral part, and these are the ducts from which the aqueous is draining and making a tear lake. And where does these tears go? They go into the punctum. If you can recall from the previous video, we have this papilla lacrimalis, which is actually a bulge in which the punctum is present, or we can call it punctum lacrimalis, right? Now, the, from the punctum, the tears will flow into these canaliculus, which are named as canaliculus lacrimalis, or you can call them canaliculus. First, we have this vertical canaliculus, and then we have this horizontal canaliculus. This junction right over here is called ampulla. The canaliculus of both the upper and lower lid will meet at a point called the common canaliculus, and these canaliculus will now enter a sac, which is known as the nasolacrimal sac. I forgot to mention that the vertical canaliculus is 2 millimeters and the horizontal one is 8 millimeters. So together these will make 10 millimeter. The nasolacrimal sac is actually 10 millimeters. The aqueous will drain from the nasolacrimal sac into the nasolacrimal duct, which is 12 millimeters. We have the small flap, which is called at the end of the nasolacrimal duct, which is called theca lacrimalis, and it prevents tears from going back into the nasolacrimal duct during siphon action, which is blowing at the nose, right? Now, this nasolacrimal duct is present in the inferior nasal concha, and the tears will drain into the inferior meatus. Now, speaking of the nerve innervation of the lacrimal gland, we have both the parasympathetic and the sympathetic innervation. So the sympathetic innervation is quite simple. So the sympathetic plexus from the sympathetic chain will first enter in will make a plexus around the internal carotid artery, and then from the internal carotid artery it will enter into the inferior orbital fissure, and then it will supply the lacrimal gland, right? The parasympathetic innervation is linked with the pterygopalatine ganglion. So what will happen is that the facial nerve fascicles from the facial nucleus, lacrimatory facial nucleus will travel and will make a greater petrosal nerve, and then they will enter a ganglion which is named as pterygopalatine ganglion, and then they will together with the sympathetic fibers will enter the lacrimal gland. I have been mentioning this thing repetitively that the lacrimal gland is responsible for the reflex steering. What does this mean? Which means that if anything strikes the cornea, the reflex steering action will be introduced. The cornea is supplied with the ophthalmic division of the trigeminal nerve, right? This means that the trigeminal nerve is linked with the lacrimatory nucleus or the facial nerve at the level of pons. Now, there is this another important, very interesting fact that whenever you're happy or sad, whenever you're encountering something emotional, you feel very much teary eyes. Why does this happen? It is because the lacrimatory nucleus is also linked with the hypothalamus, which controls the emotions. Not just the lacrimatory nucleus, but also some of the fibers from the olfactory bulb also linked with the hypothalamus. So this was all for today. I hope I've made everything clear. So if you have liked my video, give it a like and subscribe. And till then, take care.